welcome back to week 4 of the quick picks of the NFL season. I gotta get this pulled up real quick. I believe I went 10-6 last week, which is actually the worst I've done, which actually isn't that bad, but I can do better. The teams on bye are, I believe, the Steelers and the Titans because their game got postponed due to the virus. So that game won't be played. There was supposed to be no byes, but hey, that ended up working out pretty well. So we have 2 byes, those teams, and yep, 10-6 last week. I don't know my actual overall record because I don't have it pulled up. But let's go ahead and get right to the games. Yes, I do have some more videos coming. I have 3 videos scheduled for this next week that are not quick picks. So yeah, this is my final quick pick in a row. Like, I have 4 in a row, so sorry about that. But anyways, let's get into Thursday Night Football tonight. Broncos at Jets. Jets are literally a hot dumpster fire mess right now. So they're nowhere in this game right now. And the Broncos, you know, they had a quarterback injury with Drew Lock. I don't really see much from both of these teams, but the Jets are just that much worse. I think Broncos win at 27-14. Going into Sunday, we have Vikings at Texans. Both these teams have really even skill. They're both also 0-3, looking for their first win. Texans have had trouble with their O-line protecting Deshaun Watson and getting to the receivers. And Vikings, I don't really know what the problem's been for the Vikings. I mean, maybe they've had offensive problems with Kirk Cousins, but they did have some defensive injuries. So just because defense is, not stepping up for the Vikings recently, I'm going to give the Texans a win here, 31-26. Vikings are sadly 0-4, which I don't believe, but it could happen. Saints at Lions. I don't see Saints losing 3 games in a row, and I don't see Lions winning 2 in a row. So I think Saints are going to this one 28-16. Saints are going to bounce back from the Packers' loss, and they'll win this one versus the Lions. Ravens at Washington Football Team. Washington Football Team played a pretty decent game versus the Browns, and then the Browns ran away with it at the end. The Ravens just played an absolute horrible game with the Chiefs with Lamar Jackson only like 70 passing yards. Lamar Jackson needs to step his game up to play better. He has to focus on the pass and handing the ball off, not just him running every time. And that's what he did wrong in the Chiefs game. So I think Ravens win this one 33-23. Cardinals at Panthers. The Cardinals lost the game, which I believe they shouldn't. That happens. Going to the Panthers, though, it's really similar to the Lions, really similar skill. I think the Cardinals can prepare easily for this next game, considering how similar they are to the Lions. And I think Cardinals and Kyler Murray will get back on track, get the D-Hop, and get that offense rolling over the Panthers. Colts at Bears. To be honest, the Bears should not be 3-0. I'm not saying that because I'm a biased Packers fan. I'm saying that because they've gotten kind of lucky to be in 3-0. Sure, Nick Foles is coming in. He's going to start now. That could do something, but reality, I think, is just going to cause more confusion for the Chicago Bears team. Defense is okay. It's never been bad the last 5 years, but it's the worst it's been in 5 years. It depends on how Nick Foles plays. I don't see him being a superhero, but I don't see him being, really bad. It just really depends on how well he can play on that scale. So I'm going to give them the loss here to Phillip Rivers and the Colts, 23-21. The Colts, they're a pretty decent team. They beat the Vikings pretty big. So, the Colts have what it takes to beat the Bears. Seahawks at Dolphins. The Dolphins played a pretty good game versus the Jaguars. As a matter of fact, a really good game. They won 31-13 last Thursday, which was kind of crazy to believe that Ryan Fitzpatrick played that well. But I really think it's a different story when you play the Seattle Seahawks. And Seahawks, on the other end, Russell Wilson is just going off. NFC Offensive Player of the Year with 14 passing touchdowns and 1,000 yards. There's no way you can stop him, the deep threat with Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. Seahawks won this one 38-20. Chargers at Buccaneers. Buccaneers played a pretty good game versus the Broncos last week too. And Chargers, well, not so much. There really can be even teams. Chargers have Justin Herbert. He can play good when he wants to. Same thing with Tom Brady. They're really even. But I think the Buccaneers win this one 28-20. Jaguars at Bengals. We saw how bad the Jaguars played last week, and we saw how okay the Bengals played. They tied with the Eagles, which, by the way, I'm counting that as a loss in my prediction. It does not count as a tie. I really don't know what to say about this game, mainly because they're just so mediocre. The Jaguars can be better, and so can the Bengals. So I think the Bengals are going to get this win 26-17. I think Joe Burrow has more over Gardner Minshew in this case, considering Joe Burrow has definitely I think he's getting closer to a win. He's just inching closer, while the Jaguars are just inching farther away from getting a win. Browns at Cowboys. Now, this is a really controversial one, which I have the Browns picking the upset in this one, 34-31. Sorry about that snap notification. The reason why I have the Browns up this high is mainly because of the run game. If you cannot stop the run game, which should be an easy stop for most teams, you should be able to control it. Which, of course, 100 yards, it's pretty decent for every game. But the Browns I'm talking about, they put up 200 yards every running game. It's pretty easy for them with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. And Baker Mayfield steps up when he wants to. I really don't see a problem with the Browns. Dak Prescott can be pretty good in the deep threat as well, in the long ball. But at the end of the day, I think the Browns' run game beats the deep threat, and the Browns will win 34-31. Midday slate into our 4 o'clock games if you live on the eastern side. If you're on the west coast, it's 1 o'clock games. Giants at Rams. The Giants have had injuries plaguing their team. They're not looking too hot. Rams have looked pretty good. You know, they're inching back closer win to that, what's it called, the Buffalo Bills, where they were down by like 25 points, which they could have won that game. They could have been undefeated right now, which is kind of crazy. So I think the Rams are still pretty good for even losing a game. I think they deserve to be 3-0. I think they'll get a bounce back win here over the Giants. 27-13 Rams. Bills at Raiders. I have another upset. I have the Raiders winning this game at home in Las Vegas in the Death Star. You know, Bills, we saw like a weak side of them versus the Rams last week, and the Raiders, even though they lost pretty decently to the Patriots, I think the Raiders have a lot to prove. You know, they beat the Saints. They played pretty good at Las Vegas. We've already seen that. Derek Carr, you got to give it to Darren Waller. He's a really good tight end. Get it to your receivers. Get it to Josh Jacobs if he's injured or not. I don't know. The Raiders can work the ball in offense. It's been pretty clear to see that this whole season. The Bills can too, but I think the Raiders will outplay them this time. 30-24 will be the final score. This game is my prediction. Patriots at Chiefs. I know I predicted the Chiefs to lose last week, but I'm going to have to do it again. I'm not hunting on the Chiefs. I'm just saying the Chiefs have some weak sides and weak links. They played pretty good versus the Ravens, but they're kind of inconsistent. You know, they were really good last year, but they're starting off a little inconsistent. You know, they're bouncing back and forth. Like the Chargers game, they played pretty bad, and the Ravens game, they played pretty good. The Patriots, the other end, you know, they've been pretty good. They've only lost one game, which was on the 1-yard line. So the Patriots, I expect a lot from them. 28-26 is my final guess for this game. And on Sunday Night Football, honestly, this one could be embarrassing, but I think the Eagles will hold up, mainly because it's just a primetime game. 49ers, they should win this one, 24-10. I don't really care about injuries in 49ers. We saw how good they played, even with injuries. Look, I know they played the Giants or whoever they played, and they won by a lot, and the Giants are pretty bad. But the 49ers, I mean, it doesn't really matter for them. Their injuries, it doesn't really matter. They have the replacements they need. They have the keys. I think George Kittle's coming back. I think the 49ers can easily beat the really weak Eagles, which we've seen nothing from this season. And Monday Night Football, Falcons and Packers. Keep in mind, this is the #1 scoring offense versus the number 32nd dead last on defending offense, Falcons. So really, I think this is going to be a field day for the Packers on offense. But no, the Falcons are not bad on offense too. They have Matt Ryan and they have Calvin Ridley. Maybe Julio Jones will be back. Of course, Devontae Adams is probably going to be back for the Green Bay side. Both these teams can be really good. The Falcons should be better than 0-3. You know, they've had some choke jobs. They've had some weak times. The Packers, on the other hand, have just had all, you know, guns and glory in the whole entire season. So I think they'll win this one. They'll be 4-0. Sadly, the Falcons don't deserve it, but they'll be 0-4. 42-31 is my score, guys, to a big scoring game offensively. So those are my quick picks for this week, week 4. I'm sorry for having 4 of these in a row. I have some more videos up. Stay with the channel, subscribe. I'll